Start with a little bit of personal history, like when and where were you born?
Well, I was born 3 miles up the valley in this New Kingston Valley, and I was away from the valley for a while, but then I came back and I've lived here all my life since. Lived in this house for a little while, then my father and mother came here, and we went up there in 1941, and that's where we was there until 62. So then I've been back here since. So I've been in New Kingston Valley and around this section all of my life.
And
I
your
had
parents?
5 children.
Wow.
We had a dairy. We raised cauliflower a couple of years, not very long though. Pardon?
How come?
Well, I don't know. It just was too much work, and we just couldn't. You know, when you got little kids, you can't get out and help as much as you could without little ones around. So, and outside of that, I don't know nothing. So exciting.
Yeah. You did a lot of work on the farm, though, right?
Oh yes.
You have to. Yeah.
Oh yes. I raked and I bunched hay, and then later we got a baler. I'd ride the baler. You had to ride the baler in order to be sure that it tied the bales.
Yeah.
And so we rode the baler some, and milk, do the milking,
Yeah.
while the men folks stayed in the hayfield and all such.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Get you outdoors, away from the cooking. I don't like to cook.
But you had to do that anyway,
But I
right?
have to do some of that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said you moved away for a little while?
We lived in Arena for a while. That's before the dam came through. We lived down there from 32, I think, until about 34.
Yeah.
A couple of years we were down there. Then we came back here and worked up for a lady up here on a farm, and then finally my dad and mother said they was going to give it up and did we want the farm, so
Great.
we went up there swapped over.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I have 2 sisters. One used to live in Fleischmann. She has moved to Delmar in July, I think it was. And my other sister lives in Ohio. She's lived out there for 30 years.
Are they both farmers too? Just you?
Now, the one in Ohio, they had a farm, grain farm.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a few cows, which is very unusual for people to have a dairy out there.
Yeah.
But then her husband died young, so she's just rented the farm, and they did the crops on shares.
Yeah, right.
So but my other sister, they owned a mill in Fleischmann, the veneer mill.
Oh, yeah.
And then they sold out, and now they just moved to Delmar. 2 of her children are up there, so that's one reason that she moved up there.
Well, how about quilting? When did you start quilting?
Well, I didn't quilt any until I had a neighbor, a friend, up this valley.
Yeah.
She'd put a quilt on. She always quilted and worked at them. And she'd call up and say, Elsa, I've got a quilt on. Why don't you come over today and we'll quilt and visit? So I'd go over and be there for dinner, and we'd visit and quilt. And that's how she really taught me how to quilt.
Yeah.
But she taught me to quilt what they call in the ditch, which is right on the seam.
Yeah.
But nowadays, more of them, they quilt a little ways away, you know. And really, it looks nicer.
It makes it puffy, right?
So then I got to, after she kind of got me going, she took a quilt to make. And in the meantime, she got sick. So she couldn't finish it. She knew she couldn't finish it. So she asked me if I wanted to finish it. I finished it, and then I got a couple more to make, and so that just put the zing into it. You know,
Yeah.
to do that, and you like it, and you get a little money, and sell one with it. Puts a lot of more interest in it. So from then on, I kind of.
How long ago was that?
Must be 40. Yes, 40 years.
Wow. So you've made a lot of quilts.
I've made a lot of quilts.
Uh-huh.
I really have. I wish they'd kept track, but
Yeah. Are any of them, like, particularly memorable? One or a couple that you like much more than any others?
I always like my log cabins, any of those that I've made.
Why is that?
I don't know why. It's just because I like that pattern. It goes, for me, it goes kind of fast. I just enjoy doing the log cabin. I've done a lot of log cabins, different color combinations. I've made some with the browns. I've made quite a few with the blues. I've made black, gray, and red. I've made reds with white. I've made reds with yellow. Maroons. I haven't made any green ones. I know. No green combinations.
So how do you choose your colors?
Well, if I get an order for, we'll say, a maroon and a blue, I cut some strips, and I put them, I have a little rack that I work from.
Yeah.
I put those on there, or even the whole cloth on the ironing board. I lay them together, and I leave them there for maybe a couple hours. You know, and when you come into the room, if there's one in there that doesn't belong, boy, it hits you right in the face.
That's great.
So that's kind of how I choose my colors. But I can pick them out. If I know I'm going to make a maroon, I can pretty well pick out the, you know, the colors.
Now, isn't a log cabin a lot of little squares to piece?
It's for strips.
Oh, strips.
Strips.
Okay.
I can show you.
All right. Do you vary the pattern? Because you can make a lot of different...
Oh, there's so many ways to set the log cabin together. You can make a lot of ways. I have one that you very seldom see that I use quite a lot. It's the log cabin star. And I've got a blue one. You may have probably saw it over in the shelf. It was in the shelf.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The log cabin star. So that's my favorite quilt. I mean, that one. I had that blue in my mind for ever so long.
Yeah.
And I just finally said, well, now, but golly, I'm going to make myself one. And I looked and looked until I found that particular blue. So and then I could have sold it 100 times, I guess, but...
You didn't?
No. I say, no, that's mine. If you want one, I'll make you one, but not that one. So... I made that quite a while ago. My husband was alive. And then I had a quilt show up at the Earth Center with just my quilts.
Oh, really? What was that?
Quilt tops. I can't just remember, but I think 65? Can't be.
Oh, it must have been 75 maybe. Didn't they start in 75 or 74? They're 10 years, a little over 10 years old now, I think.
The Earth Center?
Yeah.
Well, I've got some of the sheets in there, the you know, the things you lay out on the table, whatever.
Yeah.
With dates on it. But
So do you sell most of your quilts?
I sell them. I've made each one of my, I like 2 grandchildren that I haven't made yet.
Yeah.
I have 12 grandchildren. I've got 10 of them done. 3 of them, 4 of them, I gave when they were married. And others I just gave a quilt. I've got 2 more to go.
Now, do you pick a specific pattern depending on their personality or
Depending
color?
on them, I ask them if there's any special, you know, what's their special color or... Now, 3 of them are brothers and sisters. And those 3 I made trip around the world. 2 of them I quilted, and this last one I tied. The first one I used browns. The second one I used, let's see, I think this was blue. All different, and that is different blues. And this last one was maroon. So I made 2 for my son. One of his was Trip Around the World, and the other one was a browns in a log cabin. And I quilted both of them. And they're out in California.
Yeah.
So, but I got quilts. No, I got quilts in California. There was another one that a lady came and I made one for her. That's in California. I made a crib quilt and went to Africa.
You're kidding.
No.
Wow. How did it get there?
Well, at the time of my quilt show, she was expecting her first grandchild. So she asked me if I'd make her a baby quilt. So I said, yeah. So I made her a baby quilt, and her daughter was then in Egypt. And after the baby was born, or maybe when the baby was born, the daughter went to England with his parents at the time of the birth of the baby. So I just don't know where it is now, because that baby must be, well, at the time of my show. So that baby is 10, 12 years old, or however old the person is.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there any part of the process that you like better than any other part?
Not necessarily. I like to cut the pieces.
You do?
I like to cut them.
What is it about that?
Well, it's just, I don't know why. The beginning, I guess. It doesn't take long. That's one thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't take very long, because I layer my fabric. I don't go with this one thickness bit. Japers.
What do you mean? When you're cutting it?
When you're cutting.
Yeah.
You know, to cut out here one thickness.
Yeah.
Good land sakes. I laid down about 6 or 7. Some flat, pin them as I go along.
Yeah.
Pin them here, and then cut here, and keep moving my pins up.
Oh.
And it's strips, you know, so you got 6, 8 strips. I've got a pair of the Ginger shears, and you're supposed to cut 14 layers at once. But
I was going to ask, because if I was cutting that many layers, everything would come out a different size.
Yeah, well, now another thing is your shears have to be good and sharp, but the shears with the orange handles are excellent for cutting more than even one layer. The material doesn't jump away from them. You know, now this, if you take and cut just one layer of these shears, the material would jump a little bit. So that's how you get different sizes. But those orange handles, they're very good. There's something about the material in them that attracts the fabric, I guess, so it doesn't jump away.
Everybody has a different answer to that question. And you're the first person who's liked cutting the best.
Oh, yeah? Oh, I like to cut, yes.
Do you ever use the machine to
I use the
piece?
machine all I can.
Oh, really?
All I can. Because somebody told me that the machine machine stitching is much firmer. Yeah. More substantial.
Is it more difficult, though, to put pieces together?
Maybe if you use it for curves, I mean, you can do it with curves if you're the master of your machine, but some people who just sew now and then a little seam with a machine, I mean, they can't do it, sure. They got to practice, but I can do pretty much. There's some of the curves I can't, like the drunkard's path. I don't know, I've never done too much on the machine of that, but that's kind of difficult. Yeah. But any others that I've made, I do all my piecing on the machine, if possible. And I tear my machine down and give it an overhaul, and
Yeah.
you have to when you sew a lot. There's a place under that plate by the needle.
Yeah.
It's especially the way that fabrics now that has polyester.
Yeah.
All that little polyester lint gets in there
Yeah.
and gets hard as a brick, and then it'll skip stitches.
Oh.
So you take the plate off and dig that all out and clean it out and put a little drop of oil and put it back, and then you're all back in high gear again.
Uh-huh. Is it hard to find cotton now, or is it very expensive?
The cotton is more expensive,
Yeah.
but they are putting more cotton. You can find fabric with more percentage of cotton than what you used to,
Uh-huh.
and you can find all cottons.
Yeah.
But they are expensive.
I bet.
More
I bet
so
they're very
than
expensive.
fabric itself is getting out of this world almost.
Where do you shop for fabric
In Margaretville, there's a very nice fabric shop in the back of Benny Kill Square,
here?
Village Homemaker.
Yes. Oh. I should know.
But if I go someplace out, used to, not so much anymore, because my Lord, I got more fabric than I'd ever use if I lived to be 150. But I just couldn't stay away from the fabrics.
Yeah.
You'd go in and, boy, there's a piece that would make nice use for quilts. So you'd buy a yard, or maybe 2 yards.
Uh-huh.
So that's how I've got my fabric.
Uh-huh.
If it's a sale on or a special, something special, it's a real good looking item, I sometimes get 5 yards. But and then when you come to make a quilt, I mean, you've got to start. You've got a variety.
Uh-huh. So you've got a warehouse full of fabric?
Yeah,
now,
I've got a pretty good line of fabric.
That's great.
And at one time, my neighbor Wanda and I guess she had her daughter in too, but we sent right to the factory and got quilt bats and stuffing.
Yeah.
Good land, they're all gone a long time ago. Mine
Yeah.
is anyway.
Uh-huh.
By carton, you know. She got a carton. I think I got a... I know I got a carton. I think she divided hers with her daughter.
Now, they didn't always have the batting that they have now, right? What did
No.
they used to use?
They used to. Now, I've never... It was before my
Oh.
day of quilts.
Mm-hmm.
But I can remember when my mother would make a quilt, she made like a comforter. She never quilted.
Mm-hmm.
But she'd get material and put in like a comforter, 2 layers. And the cotton would come in a bag, and you'd have to pull it all apart and lay it around.
My goodness.
Yeah, that's why they used to quilt
Uh-huh.
so close in order to hold that cotton there through a washing.
Uh-huh.
But she never quilted. She'd just tie it real close together,
Uh-huh.
and that was how it was.
Uh-huh. Now, why did she do it? Did she have to
Because
do it?
she we needed a new blanket, or,
Uh-huh.
you know, she needed a new blanket.
Uh-huh. But people don't have to quilt anymore. It's not a necessity anymore.
Not so much.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose there are some people who would feel that they should make a quilt, you know, if they needed, instead of going out to buy a blanket.
Yeah.
And the quilts, I don't know, I like quilts better than the blankets. I like a little weight to them,
Yeah.
to my covers.
Yeah.
Some people don't like any weight to their covers, but I do.
Mm-hmm. What, aside from the fact that, I know that you said that the fact that you could sell them was incentive initially, to keep going. What is it about quilting that's so appealing?
Well, you see a quilt maybe, and if you're a quilt fanatic, you just love to see a quilt that's really pretty.
Uh-huh.
And your fingers just itch, and, ooh, I'd like to make one. I'd like to make one.
Yeah.
Like the friendship quilts. They're very, I mean, it can get sort of boring to make one with a repeated pattern, you know.
Yeah.
But the friendship quilts, where you have each one a different block, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So you make one block and it turns out nice, pretty, the workmanship. I mean, you can if you can feel proud of it and so on, so that just keeps you going. It just keeps you going. I've got quilt tops, I'm telling you, you wouldn't believe.
Oh, yeah? That aren't yet quilted or dyed?
Yes, that aren't quilted. I've bought quite a few. One lady, I went to Roxbury, bought 15 on one rip.
15 tops? My goodness.
I bought her very first top that she had made, and the pattern was a little basket, and those little pieces were little tiny triangles. How she ever had the patience for the first one, and she was 16 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And I bought her very first one. I got it. No, my sister-in-law called me up one day, and she says, why don't you come up and buy Mrs. So-and-so's tops? She wants to sell them because this one and that one, her nieces and nephews are coming in and they want a quilt top. And she'd rather sell them to somebody and get some money out, see? Because
right.
her relatives didn't give her any money.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I went up and came home with the whole 15 that she had left.
Wow.
I
Can I ask how much that cost you? You don't have to tell me. I mean,
Yeah.
quilt tops were like $100, right? At least.
Now they are.
Oh, they weren't then.
No, they weren't then. I really got. Of course, I gave what they were worth then, but quilt tops, even quilt tops, the price has changed.
Yeah.
It's just like the first quilt that I sold, other than the one that my friend had me finish. The first one I sold was $100.
Oh.
So now, I wouldn't sell one for $100.
Certainly not.
No, I guess not. So you see, it's all, and of course then, fabric was $1.29, $1.39. The good maybe was $1.98. Now it's $3. See, so that
and it takes so much time.
makes a difference.
The
quilt that now it's well, let's see, I gave $8, I believe, for this one. That's a queen size.
Wow.
And you could get them for $2, $2.59. See, so all goes. You can't hardly build a quilt top nowadays less than $50. Absolutely, just the quilt top.
Yeah.
And then you've got your backing and your batting. Put in it. And there's another 35 or 40. Yes, there's the batting in the back of this one is 30. The back was 8.
So is this a quilt this is a top that you bought?
No, this is a top that I just made. I cut these pieces out election day.
Yeah.
This year. Now I got it 1/4 quilted.
Wow. That's pretty fast.
Of course, I don't have anything else to do much, so
So do you quilt every day or whatever?
Yeah, I quilt every day if I've got a quilt on there. I can't stay away from it.
Yeah.
It's like this morning I got up and got my dishes done, made my breakfast, got my dishes done. Made my bed and crawled right through that quilt. Well, my daughter called up. It was 8:45. She says, when you going to have your blood tested again? I said, oh, this week. Well, she said, you know today's Thursday already.
We haven't got much time.
I said, well, I don't know. Do I want to go today or not? So I said, I don't know. Well, she said, you want us to come over and get it? I said, no, good land. Without any snow or anything, I can go. So after she hung up, I said, oh, sugar, I might as well go and get that done. So I went over and had my blood test done and got a few groceries, got the car filled up with gas, and came back. So then I called her up. I said, well, I've been over and got my blood done, got back. Well, good. She said, I wondered. Because tomorrow they say we're supposed to get real messy weather.
Yeah, all weekend, yeah.
So.
Do you listen to music or anything while you're quilting?
Yes, I always have TV on.
Yeah.
Plays or. I haven't got into the soaps much. There is one General Hospital that I've been kind of paying attention to. But
yeah.
I never did much with the soap operas. I just,
I think they're really addicting. I try not to go near them because I
Yeah.
know that I'll be there every day.
the
but-
trouble is they take you such a little ways in one day, and then maybe the second day I'm not there to listen, and so the third day but I get 7 channels, so I get, you can get them all muddled up, which is good, so I just been sticking to the one and turn it to the game shows, or they don't have much music, of course, on TV.
No, but can you really watch television or just listen to it? 'Cause
You
sometimes
listen.
yeah.
You listen to it, and then if it's a movie, you listen, and then if it comes as something special,
Yeah, you watch.
just kind of look.
So do you find that you think about anything while you're doing it, or do you not think about anything?
Yeah, you kind of think, or else just go with the TV. I don't know. I never thought about that.
Yeah. When did you? Yeah, I guess you were, because you were in the first Hall of Fame, right?
Uh-huh.
You were, so you were in the Catskill Mountain Quilters Guild from the beginning.
I helped. Well, I was one of the first members. When Nancy first started it, I had been going over there just to stop in because she had quilts and she had a few crafts and so on. She had like a little craft shop there
Where?
for sale in Pine Hill.
Oh, okay.
And she had it in the same building where her husband had his gun shop.
Okay.
So I sort of liked to stop in to those places, and I liked Nancy. I stopped in, just kind of visit with her, and one day she says, I'd like to start a quilt club. She said, would you like to join? I said, yes, I'll join. And she says, if you got any others, if you got anybody else that you know quilts. And so it was a couple of weeks we met just, well, there was another one, Nidra, and Nancy and I asked Evadine Garrison. We were really the first 4 or 5 that came. Then I asked my sister, Bertha Mays, and Wanda Landsey. So then, of course, we were getting too big for the little gun shop, so then was when we thought about coming to the Earth Center. So that's no, I think it was 2 winters, maybe, that we kind of struggled along over in the gun shop, because I know I told them that Wanda and I had 2 hills to come over.
Yeah.
Before, when it got winter, that we didn't go very much, because we did have 2 hills to come over. Margaretville here and Pine Hill.
Right. So you knew a lot of quilters before you all got together.
Yeah.
How did you know them?
Well, I used to go to quilt shows every chance I get. I'd go to a quilt show. Roxbury had a group. I was up there quite a little bit before I came here to this group.
Does Roxbury still have a group?
They meet in the library, I think, Monday mornings.
Right. How do you choose how do you choose who you want to be with?
Well, of course, Roxbury's further.
Oh, okay.
And see, they're not my neighbors. I sort of know them. And then I gave somebody dingled at me to give quilting lessons. So I've given quilting lessons in Grand Gorge, in Roxbury, before we even started this quilt group. And I gave them up at Bosie's one year, evening classes.
Oh, great.
And then 2 years ago, they still wanted me to start one in the Earth Center. And that night when we went, my goodness, it seemed like they were coming out of the woodwork.
Oh, really?
We ended up with something like 36 came that first night. We met in that middle room. And there wasn't room enough to turn around. We had every chair in the place.
Oh, my goodness.
Dear. I went to Hamden, had classes, and over there I had 36, 37.
Teach that many people.
Well, we divided it. Had one come in the forenoon and one in the afternoon.
Oh,
So that I could stay, see, not make the extra trip.
right,
So
right.
we had 19, 18, 19 in each class.
Uh-huh. And how do you teach someone? What you just go step by step? Or?
Step by step. I
Yeah.
had 8 lessons.
Uh-huh.
And then I go step by step, kind of, and I have them sit in a circle or a U shape, then I can walk around this front side and help each one.
Mm-hmm.
Steer them each one a little bit.
Right.
Oh, I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
I did. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Did you make one of the blocks on the Quilters Guild banner?
Yeah, the log
I just
cabin.
love that. With the log
The
cabin?
log cabin.
Oh,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So who nominated you for the Hall of Fame? You don't know?
Might have been my sister, but I don't know.
Uh-huh. How does it feel when you were inducted?
Well, I felt very proud. Of course, I was going through a bad state of depression about then. So it was more of a chore than it was a pleasure right at that particular time. But my sons both came for the induction, one from Alabama and one from Colorado.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, they
That's
came.
great.
And pleased.
Yeah.
Good thing.
Were you surprised at all, or did you expect it and know about it?
Well, I kind of knew about it. I knew
Yeah.
about it beforehand
Yeah.
first.
Right.
But
I gotta get out and ask questions now. Because I hit a point where I just don't know what I want to ask.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So before the Quilters Guild, before these guilds, had you ever, I knew that you quilted with the woman who taught you,
Mm-hmm.
but there wasn't any group that you worked with.
Mm-mm.
Is it, I don't know if it has to be more or less, or what are the advantages or disadvantages of quilting with other people, or is it fun to do it alone? Or?
Well, I enjoy it either way.
Yeah.
But when you're with a group of people, you have this urge of, I'm going to be just as nicer than that one.
Oh,
See?
really?
I mean, that's sort of, and but then you enjoy the companionship, the gossip around the crowd. You know, you're just talking. Some of it's gossip, or it's news, or it's telling about old times, what you used to do when you was a kid, and things like that. And it's just, but that's one thing that you do it just as nice as that.
Yeah. So it's almost like a game, yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I quilt, I play a game with myself because you have to kind of figure how you're going to sew to an advantage so that you don't have to finish off and then start in again.
You have to define your terms.
Well, if you want to come in here, I can show you. I left my walking cane in there, too.
Do you want me to get
No, I don't need one. Eventually get going without it, so. Now, this is the first green. Now, while I think about it, my sister lost a needle, and it's right this side of that. Is that it? Good. And she said, when she knew she lost it.
see, if you come to quilt, and you quilt a row at once. So I come like here, down here, through here, down here, then you finish off. So, I mean, rather than to just do this line or this line and finish, so you have to, so then the next time I come here, see? So then you've got this one you've got to do first, but it's cut off and you play games. Now, she did it some other way. She came all the way across like here somehow, but I don't know how she did the center. But that's the way. Each one has your own little gimmicks and little games. Right. Yeah, that's, see, we had a Christmas party. Christmas party. That was my gift, that's a root. And that's hot, yeah. Or on the wall.